We got a 2024 Red Mist C8 Corvette Z06 at the driveway here, guys. What could we possibly be doing? Well, that's to be determined. Actually, no. I'll tell you. It's going to be new throttle bodies, 91mm throttle bodies from Solar Performance, and also the scrape armor radiator grill guards for a subscriber. That guy. Say hi, Bill.
Hi, Bill.
HBO, hi.
I knew someone was going to say hi, Bill. I knew it. Anyway, guys, 2 Z06s at the Horsepower Obsessed compound. You know it's a good day. So we've already started taking apart the rear here to get from the Venturi intake that he has into the throttle body area. We're going to take off the cover here on the convertible. This is definitely a little bit different because we haven't obviously worked on a convertible too much, with mine being a coupe. But mods are mods. Let's get the 91mm throttle bodies on here and we'll see how he likes them afterwards. But if I had to guess, gonna love them. So I'm gonna not make this so much a how-to because you guys have kind of seen it before, but we're gonna remove this and it requires a bunch of T15 screws to be removed, and then we can pop that off. We'll get some access to the engine bay and we'll be able to get to those throttle bodies. Ideally, you guys do these throttle bodies on your car because they're really cool. If for no other reason, they're really cool looking, but they add a lot of really interesting performance. I was just telling Bill that I drove mine the other day with these on there, and man, the difference is freaking wild how much these things actually seem to add to the car. And again, this is one of those things where GM kind of has their hands tied with this stuff because it's very EPA related. So a lot of you guys out there will ask, Justin, if it's so good, why didn't GM just do it from the factory? Well, that's why. EPA really ties their hands with this kind of stuff, so they can't just play with the numbers the way that they would like to when it comes to intake stuff and exhaust stuff. And really, that's where the power is to be had on the Z06. So like I said, guys, we started to remove the Venturi stuff in here, but because it is a convertible, you can't have this open and this open at the same time. So you got to go back and forth between the two throughout this entire install just to get to the throttle bodies. Whereas obviously with the coupe, you pop that hatch and you are good to go. So interesting stuff with the convertible here. Bill knows. He actually did the Venturi install himself, and going back and forth between the two here ends up getting really tiring, we'll say. Look at that shirt. Look at that shirt. Get one of those for yourselves, guys. Link in the description. But we're about to remove this cover here.
And the back by the...
Bill, take the cover off. Show us how it's done. Believe it or not, this is my first time working on a convertible. So Bill's shown me a thing or two because he knows a thing or two.
We know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two.
All right, so now we got to remove that radiator overflow tank, I guess, to really get access, clean access to those throttle bodies. So I guess that's next.
40 horsepower.
All right, so we got the overflow tank out. You set it up on top here, so it's just kind of sitting there. That way we have pretty easy access at this point to the throttle bodies. We'll go ahead and loosen up the Venturi couplers and then start working on these throttle bodies. I'll show you kind of comparatively the stock throttle body to the 91, which is oddly enough a huge difference. So let's go ahead and get those things loosened up. Easier said than done because we're going to go between these two panels on the convertible. But yeah, it's a good day to be working on a Z06 that's not mine, but still cool cars. Got some cool cars in this lot. All right, so those are loosened up. Now we're going to go to the throttle bodies. I believe they're 10mm, so we're going to get a ratcheting wrench down in there. Focus. There it is, ratcheting wrench. All right, so we're going to get that on the 10mm bolts, start getting this thing apart. Hey, Dana.
Yeah.
Tell me how hot that Cadillac converter was again.
You see that right there? That's hot right there.
Yeah, don't touch that when you're removing the throttle bodies. They, I hear that they burn somewhere around 100 degrees. Maybe a little bit hotter. Yeah, so Dana has found that the inner lower one, just like Bill was saying, you're not going to be able to get that from the top here. We're going to have to go open up the rear hatch, and we'll have to go from the rear, as they say. Right, Dana?
Go in from the where?
All right, so we got everything loosened up that we can. Now we got to put that overflow tank kind of back in its spot, because then we got to lower the what they call tonneau cover to get back into the trunk, because now we got to get to that Venturi intake and start to pull it out. Oh, I just now noticed your license plate. Someone thinking about getting a ZR1?
It's good for both.
So now we got to get this thing out. My God, that's going to be even more difficult than the coupes. How's that possible? The Venturi intake install, man, it is tough, but it is worth it. That thing is a piece of machinery. So we're getting these lower 10 mil bolts out. Then we can pull this out enough to get access to the throttle body bolts, which will be kind of down and up in there. So it's easier to do it this way. You could probably do it without removing the intake. I removed mine just to make it easier, and on the convertible, I feel like you pretty much have to. You'll be surprised what's in there when you pull this out. I had a bunch of leaves in mine. All right, wait. Open your hand. Nothing in that hand.
Nothing in this hand. Nothing up the sleeve.
He's not even a magician.
We found
a leaf. So that's why you need the scrape armor radiator grill guards, which we're going to be doing later on this video. Here in Pennsylvania, especially around the fall time, if you're driving, you're sucking up all kinds of leaves, and they all get into that intake. Mine had a bunch of them in there. His only had one, but now we can come down in here, and you can pretty clearly see that throttle body now, so we should be able to get to it pretty easy.
All right, guys, here we are. We're going to prove that Justin actually does the work.
I'm not putting that in there. I'm not putting that in there. You gotta put the camera down in here. You gotta go pretty far down in there and like turn it upwards almost.
There you go.
It's off. I don't want to take it all the way off, or it's gonna fall off.
We'll just use the extension then.
Was this? These two were. There was two left in this
Yes,
one, right?
Correct.
Probe.
Okay. All right. So we got all 8 throttle body bolts out, and as you can see, the throttle bodies are also out, which I was not told of until just now. So I was expecting to see a throttle body in there. That was a little jarring. No throttle bodies. They're on the workbench, I guess, right? All right. Let's compare these things. These guys are good workers. Look at this guy.
40 horsepower.
Stock throttle body looking blah, and then of course the 91 millimeter from Solar Performance looking purdy. Look at that. It's a shame you're not going to see that once it's installed, but I know firsthand these things seem to work really freaking well on the Z06. 2 91 millimeter throttle bodies to replace the stock 87-ish, 85-ish, whatever it ends up being. But these work really nicely. And guess what, guys? If you want, you could save some money on these by using HPO5 on the website. We're getting these installed for Bill, and Bill, he used the HPO5 on the website, didn't he? So he saved himself 40, 50 bucks. Might as well do it. If you want a set of these, check it out. HPO5. So now that we got the throttle bodies off, we get to close this hatch, open up the tonneau cover, and get back into putting those throttle bodies on. We'll be able to probably put at least 2 or 3 of the bolts in holding the throttle bodies, and then we'll have to flip it all around again to get that last bolt, because you kind of have to get the bolt from the back, the one that's kind of difficult to get to. So we got to get in here again, move that reservoir around, get those throttle bodies in place, start tightening in the 10 millimeter bolts. Yeah, it's not difficult necessarily, but it is time consuming, especially on a convertible. That's only held in with 2 10 millimeter bolts, believe it or not. So once that's out of the way, we got pretty easy access to that area. Let's start getting those beautiful 91s in there. Them's purdy. They perform as good as they look. 2 installations at the same time. Which one will finish first?
Bill had a head start.
I don't care, Dana. You're younger. Show them how it's done. Bill, don't let him beat you.
Bill only has 2 to do. I got 3.
Just do 2 for now, then, Dana. Who's gonna win? How many you got in, Bill? You got in 1?
You got 1 in.
Dana, what are you doing? Are you gonna let him win?
I don't know, maybe. I feel bad for him.
Oh schnit!
Bill's got this because I can't reach this one.
Oh no!
That's because you're doing the bottom instead of the top.
Oh yeah, you should have done the top, Dana. You did that to yourself, man.
Yeah.
I'm disappointed. Bill's the undisputed victor here.
Is he?
All right, Bill. What say you? Was it a good competition?
Hell yeah!
Bill's 2 to my 3.
Hey, this can't happen, Bill. This is my neighbor Bill.
No, it's not.
And this is my friend Bill. There's 2 Bills at the same place at the same time. Something's gonna happen here. Oh, look at that!
Look at this.
Found some leaves in the intake.
Oh, there you go.
There's another reason for the scrape armor. So here we go, guys. 91 millimeter throttle bodies engaged. We are ready to rock and roll. But first, this guy's got to get into the trunk to tighten one last bolt. I tightened 7 of them.
Which side is it on?
On the right side.
Yep. Well, this is what you need. This is called a trunk monkey. All right, so throttle bodies are installed. We are now on to the scrape armor radiator grill guards. Obviously, we've seen these on the videos before here, but this is the second set that I've installed. Obviously, I haven't set on my Corvette. And we'll now be getting a set on Bill's C8 Z06 as well. So let's go ahead and get these installed. They look good. They also protect. They're going to stop leaves from ending up in that intake. All good stuff here. So you guys know by now the first step here is to actually pop that piece of plastic right here out that will allow us to get access to the screw underneath there. But you can already see it's not in there perfectly straight. And this is why Scrape Armor wants you to adjust this before getting into installing their kit. These are all built obviously at the plant, and there's a decent tolerance in here where this thing could be twisted around a couple different ways. And unless it's perfectly straight in there, the Scrape Armor grills don't fit exactly like they should. So they want you to straighten this out first before doing anything else. And that's the reason why right there. Again, once that piece of plastic's out, you can see the bottom side of that blade is not perfectly straight. So that's why we'll loosen that screw up, get that perfectly straight in there, and then we'll move on. I'm going to kind of just speed through this and mention anything that might be different than it was on mine, since Bill's is a completely stock carbon flash boomerang setup here. See that? Perfection. So got to get that gap right there to be even between the black or carbon flash painted part and the red mist painted part. Once that gap is good, we're able to move on to the next step. Alright, so we got most of this set up in here. I'm going to start sticking down that bracket in the back, but what we're going to be doing here in a second is using some adhesion promoter right here and right there to make sure that the new clip goes down into place and sticks into place permanently. So you gotta love these things. To just snap them, and then we are ready to go. So yeah, there's that. So there we go. Clip is in place, bracket is in place in the back. We're ready to move on to the next step. So moving right along, this stuff's pretty easy to install, but there is always the QR code there if you are a little intimidated. I've already done this technically twice because I did it once on my C8 and then again once I got my new boomerangs from RSC. So this is technically my third time installing these. The install is pretty easy. You just got to make sure you go in a specific way on the directions, because if you follow the directions out of order, you're gonna have a problem. And just like magic, guys, that is one side completely done. I love how much better that makes the entire side intake look. It just looks more finished. This is something that should have come with the car to begin with, but again, Scrape Armor really did their best at making it very tight. The tolerances in here are so tight that there is nothing that's getting around that grill guard. So functional and beautiful. You gotta love it. And that's that, guys. We got both side intake grill guards from Scrape Armor installed on Bill's Red Mist C8 Corvette Z06. The 91mm throttle bodies from Solar Performance, all in place. It's a decked out car, of course, at this point. So he did go to blackout tinting and had a lot of work done there as far as PPF and ceramic coating is concerned. So the car definitely looks good. Now it's going to be a little more protected, and it's going to run a little bit better with those 91s. All right, guys, that's really going to do it for today's video. Like I said, Bill is kind of local to me. We've kind of become friends over the YouTube channel and everything, and I figured I'd help him out with the 91s and the Scrape Armor radiator grill guards. Turned out really good, and of course, the Red Mist is always looking nice, and figured let's make it a C8 Z06 kind of day. So it's all done. She's about to head out, and like I said, she's more protected, a little bit more performance. Why not, right? Anyway, guys, if you liked what you saw, smash the thumbs up button. Let me know you're liking the content. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. I've got tons of stuff like this coming you're not going to want to miss. And as always, guys, stay obsessed.